The church that people visit nowadays is quite a bit different from the one that they found in 1896 when they first turned the soil on this land of St. Mary Mount Carmel Blessed Sacrament Church. In this episode, we're going to follow some of the changes that have occurred here over the 125 years of its history. The first Mass celebrated on the present site took place in 1896, with Father Antonio Castelli presiding in what was in reality the basement of the unfinished building. Though simple in plan and constructed in local bricks, the cost was exorbitant, $7,000 for the basement alone, by the standards of the immigrants who composed its flock. In 1901, Bishop John Battista Scalabrini came from Italy while on an American visit to lay the cornerstone of the new upper church. In June 1902, the first Mass was celebrated in the completed single-nave house of worship. For 22 years, this iteration of the building successfully fulfilled its mission. By 1902, Father Castelli's exhaustive efforts to build the parish had weighed heavily on him. He was granted the assistance of another Scalabrini priest, Reverend Joseph Formia, who upon Castelli's passing in the following year assumed the duties of the pastor of the parish. Father Formia brought new energy to his pastorate and took on the challenge of establishing Mount Carmel's first school. In 1904, the building had not yet been completed. Nonetheless, a large number of students were present in St. Mary of Mount Carmel's first semester. The first student body consisted of 175 boys and girls in the 4 lower grades. They crammed into the then only 3 completed first-floor rooms. The upper floor classrooms were temporarily used as quarters for the nuns who had come as teachers to the students. By 1909, the burgeoning population of the student body made it necessary for the sisters to vacate their upstairs living arrangement. But where would they live? A prominent parishioner, Mr. Joseph Tomaino, purchased a 2-story house adjacent to the church on Catherine Street and rented it to the parish as a home for the teaching sisters. With 18 years on the job, Father Formia retired from Mount Carmel and returned to Italy. Our next pastor came to us from the Umbrian town of Gubbio in central Italy. In 1920, Father John Marchigiani changed his focus from being secretary to the Bishop of Gubbio to missionary life, and became a member of the Congregation of Scalabrinians. This group dedicated itself to aiding Italian immigrants abroad. After a year assigned to Our Lady of Pompeii in New York City, he became our pastor. When Father John Marchigiani became pastor of the parish in June of 1921, he found an aging infrastructure and a ballooning population. The mills, brickyards, railroad, cutlery factory, and other industries thriving in the city of Utica led to mass immigrations. Factories sponsored immigrants to come to the community to work for them. At first greeted with skepticism, he quickly earned the public's respect when he himself would be found on a ladder repairing roofing, mortar on his clothes from pointing up bricks, or running wires to adapt inadequate electrical service on the church property. When Bishop Grimes came to Mount Carmel, he found a parish bursting at its seams. The confirmation class was enormous, 308 boys and 381 girls. The bishop was forced to confer the sacrament in 2 shifts. As a result, an initiative to enlarge the church was born. Marchigiani was still new to the parish, and he would convince his flock to back him in his endeavors by making home visits and doing all possible to fill the pews at Masses. His tireless energy was responsible for completely rebuilding the heating system of the school, creating the basement auditorium in the church, creating a connecting corridor between the old rectory and the church, and the purchase of the adjacent convent for the nuns who taught at the school. To his everlasting memory, we can also credit him with the addition of the 2 lateral naves to the original church. Well, we've only covered about a half century of the history of our parish up to this point. Tune in next time when we'll talk about how Father Marchigiani changed the face of the entire congregation. Until then, keep dreaming and God bless.